What's up, guys? Welcome to Kinfolk Carpentry. I'm Dylan Sider, and today I want to talk to you about how long it takes to become a carpenter. And while I talk about that, I am working on reinstalling some windows in a basement that were installed wrong the first time by somebody else other than me. First things first, these windows were right in the dirt, and they just had this jamb sitting right on top of this block with no flashing, nothing under it, and it wasn't caulked or anything, and there was a huge gap up here that was just to outside, so I'm going to fix that. But first I'm digging out the window well so that I have like 4 inches of space there to put some stone in, and then I'm going to put a sill on here, flash it, do the whole thing. So that's what I'm working on. The other one I used a post hole digger and just like dug it out from above, but I have a bay window above me, so I can't actually get in there with the post hole digger. So I'm doing it kind of the old school way. Shawshank Redemption style.
Enough rock saved up to keep him busy till rapture.
Found a more efficient way. So starting off my story, my dad's a carpenter, custom home builder. I grew up working for him. But when I started at like 17, I was more of an artsy-fartsy kid, played music and like drawing, and so I never really like went to work with my dad before I was like out of high school. So I didn't know how to read a tape, I didn't know how to cut a piece of wood. Just kind of was thrown into it as like a laborer. And honestly, I probably stayed in that laborer stage too long. But I think that's probably a good year-long process of carry wood where it needs to go, sweep floors, make sure the job site's clean, get a carpenter their tools, and make sure I'm just being helpful on the job site, but not actually like completing any of the tasks that need done. So I'd say that's probably a year-long process. My laborer process probably lasted 3 or 4 years. I think that's only because I worked for my dad and I didn't take it too seriously. All right, so you're in that laborer stage for about a year of just cleaning, sweeping, carrying, and maybe you pick up a few things here and there and you cut the odd board. But then I think you move into what I call the apprenticeship stage. And I think that's where you feel like, hey, I'm committed to this. I'm going to start taking this seriously. I'm going to learn from these guys. And I think a lot of people, a lot of carpenters start in framing. I certainly kind of started in framing. My dad's company did everything. We framed houses, we trimmed them, we basically built the whole house from ground up. But I think the reason that a lot of carpenters get their start in framing is because you need a lot of help. It's a lot of work to frame a house, so really you need a few skilled guys, maybe 2 skilled guys to lay everything out, make sure everything's plumb, square, level, read the blueprints, read elevations, things like that. But you need a lot of just labor help. You need a lot of guys to be carrying stuff, moving stuff, lifting stuff. And so for the 2 lead guys, you might have 3 or 4 guys that are just there to just kind of work hard. So that's not to say that you can't start an apprenticeship anywhere with remodelers or even trim carpenters and things like that. But I do find that a good portion of the carpenters I know started in framing. And framing kind of seems to be a young man's game. It's there are older guys doing it, but I think a lot of the time A lot of the guys get out of it because it's pretty hard on your body to keep doing that kind of work. All right, so what I'm doing is leveling out this sill and getting it fastened. Yep. Tricky Ricky. I'm trying to put a little bit of slope on this so that if any water does get under the sill, then it'll run out. I will have a flashing on top of this, so it's not going to be exposed. Yep, that is looking minty fresh. I heard you guys doubting me. I heard you back there. You were like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Psh, I know what I'm doing. That's about as level as can be. It's about as level as can be. All right, so that's all set. I put a little bit of slope on it. It's about a strong 1/8. Some of you might be like, why is this not pressure treated? You cannot cap pressure treated. Pressure treated and aluminum have a funny reaction and it'll actually rot out the aluminum. So that's why that is just regular old spruce. And honestly, it's never going to see the light of day anyway. Put a little apprenticeship stage for another 3 or 4 years. So you're at year 5. You've gained a lot of skill. You are now being able to be left on task by yourself without supervision. If someone asks you what you do for a living, I think at that point, you're a carpenter. But just being a carpenter, I don't think is the end. At 5 years, there's a lot of stuff you don't know. Like at 5 years, I'm not sure I would have known that you can't put aluminum on pressure treated. Probably wouldn't have known that. So I think you're a carpenter at that point, but I still think that you need guidance from other people. And I'm still learning. I learn new stuff every day. That's kind of the awesome part of our job, is that you're constantly learning new stuff, new skills, challenging yourself and fixing problems. And each time you try to do better and grow. So I think at that 5-year mark, you can call yourself a carpenter, but I would say it's probably another 5 years of still being under another carpenter to make sure that they're double checking your work, making sure that things get done correctly, and still learning some more of the crucial skills it takes to run a job by yourself. Honestly, this is probably not the best way to install a basement window, but I'm reinstalling them because the previous contractor, I'm not sure, knew what he was doing. And we don't want to like waste the material. We already have the windows. The windows really should have been ordered bigger to fit the opening better, but I think he just kind of got them off the shelf somewhere. I'm not sure where. So essentially this jam was sitting down right against the concrete, and it pushed it way down into the window well, which if you got a heavy rain and stuff, your window is basically right on dirt, which is never ideal. So I'm moving the whole window up. And then there was a huge space above the window that they had to either fill in with framing or insulation. And so this way I'm moving it right up to the sill of the first floor, and it's getting it out of the dirt, which is probably a good practice. Oh yeah. Ready for the window. Through the window, over the wall. All right, time to do some sealant. This is always a bit of a challenge, trying to get down in here and do a nice job caulking, but it's not a front door, so just try to do the best that I can. All right, so this is the finished product. Get down in there. Looks pretty nice, you know. The water's getting in there. It's 4 inches deeper. Put a little bit of stone in the bottom. And see, you got lots of room under there. That's what's up. One window done, a couple more to go, but I've got to get to another job. On to a new job, starting a kitchen install. Got a few of the bases done. It's a new week, but back to what we were talking about. You're a laborer for a year, you decide to be an apprentice, you do that for 3 or 4 years, and then you're a carpenter at this point, but you still need a bit of guidance and direction. Not quite ready to lead a job, and I think you're in that position for 5 years realistically of still gaining experience, still doing things on your own, still growing the confidence to be in charge of how things are run on the day-to-day operations. So that moves you into a job lead. So I kind of skipped the step of being a lead carpenter. I moved from Canada to the US and I took a job with a custom home builder that I worked for 4 or 5 years, and I never became a lead carpenter. But when I left that job, I was working as a lead carpenter for about 6 months for a company, running jobs. And I kind of quickly realized that I should be doing this on my own, and I had a good opportunity to go out on my own and work for some of the contacts I've met on social media. But even at that point as a subcontractor, I owned my own business, but I was a subcontractor. So I was still kind of being told what to do, and I wasn't necessarily the lead carpenter. And I think the step from lead carpenter, the next step is business owner. You know, you can be a lead carpenter up until your body starts to fail you and you want to become a project manager, or you're just getting off the tools and becoming more of a manager in some way for a bigger company, or you are still learning, obviously still learning today, all the ways of dealing with sub-trades and managing a job and also trying to complete tasks. I think that's the goal, is to be kind of self-sufficient and feel like you have confidence enough to do any job on your own. And so I think it's all up to you from that lead carpenter point. If you're confident enough to be a lead carpenter, I think you're confident enough to go out on your own and do it for yourself. That jump from don't know anything to a lead carpenter is a good 10 years before you feel confident. Some people jump into that sooner. You know, I met people in trade school when I went to college that had been doing it since they were 12 with their dad, and they're wildly confident already, even at like 21 or 19. And they might be, 23 and feel like they're confident enough to do it on their own. And there's also people that are like me, take them until they're 30 to feel like they can spread their wings and do it for themselves. All right, guys, that wraps up this video. Here is a few finished shots of the bookshelves I've been building. If you have not watched my last 2 videos on my channel, it goes into detail of how I built these. So go check those out if you haven't seen it already. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for sticking around.